Dear all, Namaste and welcome to today's English class of grade 10. We are in Unit 1, Current Affairs and Issues. Under that, today we are dealing with Reading 2. That is Open Letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Okay, so it is a letter. We have come to know that it's a letter. Okay, it's an open letter. When do we write open letter? Yes, when there is about some general issues, current affairs that goes on related with global problems, global issues. We write at that time, we write letter to some concerned authoritative people. So this is a formal letter. Before we get into the letter, okay, before we start reading, we have some picture, we have some question and a picture to discuss. Okay, here it goes. Look at this picture. Look at the picture below and answer the following questions. Okay, so first of all, everybody observe this picture. What do you see over here? What do you see? Who are they? Okay, what do you think? Look at the board. Are they students? Students? Are they students? What do you think? Or they are children? What do you think? Or protester? Okay, so our first question is, who do you think these people are? You have to answer that. You can either say they are students or they are children, right? They look like children, not youth, right? And what are they doing is our second question. What are they doing? They are carrying big play cards, right? Big quotation is there. Can you read that? No nature, no future. Okay, so nature, it is related with environment. Okay, so they are protesting. We can say they are protesting to conserve the nature for future. Okay, so this is what about this question. Now we continue the lesson. Here it goes. Okay, we are writing letter. Do you know who is he? Yes, he is none other than His Excellency Antonio Guterres, United Nations Secretary General. We are writing letter to him. Okay. And this is United Nations office, United Nations logo. And regarding Antonio Guterres, here is a short information. His full name is Antonio Manuel de Oliveira Guterres. He is a Portuguese politician and diplomat. Since 2017, he has served as Secretary General of the United Nations, the ninth person to hold this title. A member of Portuguese Socialist Party, Guterres served as Prime Minister of Portugal from 1995 to 2002. Okay, 2002. So this is about him, and this open letter is being written to Antonio Guterres. Okay, let's start the letter. Open letter to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. So we start in this way. His Excellency Antonio Guterres, United Nations Secretary General. So this is addressing, okay? His Excellency is addressing. Generally in formal letter we address like respected sir, honorable sir, dear ma'am, honorable ma'am. In this way we address, but this is very high ranking official, okay, this post, high ranking post, and we are writing to high ranking official. That's why this is the formal way to address this high ranking post, His Excellency. That's why here addressing is His Excellency, okay. His Excellency Antonio Guterres. As you know, the post of Antonio Guterres is, he is Secretary General of United Nations, that is highly respected United Nations Secretariat, right, United Nations office. And 42nd Street, what is it? Let's go further. 42nd Street, New York, NY 10017, 7th August 2020. So what do you find over here? What else do you find except addressing? Yes, Address of United Nations. Address of United Nations. And also date, when it is written, date is there. And this picture and this additional information I brought it, these are not part of the letter, these are explanation. And there is re, R-E. What is re? R-E. Can you say it? Can you tell me? Okay, you have guessed it, right? What is it? It is regarding to or referring to. As we write subject in later, this is also subject, regarding to, referring to. That means why this letter has been written. Purpose of writing this letter. Let's see what is the purpose of writing this letter. Inclusion of children. Okay, inclusion, to include. It means he is being requested. Antonio Guterres is being requested inclusion of children in the Youth Advisory Group. Okay, there is a group called Youth Advisory Group on climate change. There is a group who works on climate change, Youth Advisory Group, and the writer of this letter would like to include them in the very group. Okay. So as a whole, what we have come to know about this letter in this portion is, starting of this letter is, first of all, we start this letter, formal letter, with addressing, and then after we write office name, and then address of the office, and then date, address of office, this 42nd Street, and then this New York, up to here, the address, and then date, and after that subject, which is referred as re over here, regarding to, referring to. Now we go to body of the letter. Okay, let's go to the body of this letter. Here it starts once again with addressing Your Excellency, right? Your Excellency. Who is Your Excellency? Who is being addressed over here? Antonio Guterres. Okay. Congratulations on your recent announcement of 7 young climate leaders between the age of 18 and 28 years old. Okay, so somebody is being congratulated. Who is being congratulated? Okay, yes, Antonio Guterres is being congratulated for what? Because he has formed a group of 7 young people for as a climate leaders. Okay, he has announced that. What is the meaning of announcement? A formal public statement. So he has announced that, formally formed this people between 18 to 28 years old. For what? To your advisory group on climate change. Okay, so Antonio Guterres has formed a group of 7 young people as youth advisory group to advise him on climate change, who will advise you regularly on accelerating means increasing, okay, increasing global action, the action to tackle the worsening climate crisis. They give suggestions on worsening condition of climate change, climate crisis problems, We appreciate this important focus on bringing young leaders into decision making and planning processes related to climate action. So this group works on, these young leaders work on decision making as well, decision making and planning, both they work. First their task is to advise, then decision making, and then planning. So they do about climate change. All these works are related to climate change. You can see this youth group. Okay, this is the youth group formed for giving suggestion for climate change. We also welcome the emphasis you place on receiving and giving frank and fearless advice, and the urgency of holding government and corporate leaders to account on the climate action. And also that group, and then including the excellency, they welcome free and fearless advice. That's why that is being appreciated by this later writer. And that group, including Antonio Guterres, they know about the why it is urgent to hold a kind of meeting, let's say, kind of discussion between government as well as corporate, the leaders, let's say some leaders of company, or the important people, authority people, to talk about climate change. So this paragraph includes about addressing. It started with addressing, and then forming advisory group on climate change. And what they do, they advise, plan, and make decision. Let's move further. Okay, we continue the body of the letter. We are disappointed, however, okay, till in the first paragraph, the writer expressed happiness, right? Writer expressed happiness to know about forming the advisory group. But suddenly when the writer came to the second paragraph of the body, the first line he or she expressed that we are disappointed. Disappointed, writer, okay, we are disappointed. Disappointed means sad or displeased. Why sad or displeased? Now let's find it out. However, that you have not expanded this list of climate leaders to the children in all their diversity. Okay, so what is the matter of displeased? Why the writer is displeased, disappointed? Because in that advisory group, children are not included. What was the request? Do you remember the title subject? To include the children in the advisory group. The children were not included in the advisory group. That's why the writer is disappointed. Millions young of children took part in school strikes for climate action in 2019 and early 2020 and demonstrated their outrage. What is outrage? An extremely strong reaction of anger and conservative solutions to equal measure. Okay, so according to the writer, children are also the part of this kind of activities to conserve the environment, just like they took part in school programs, different kind of strikes, okay, different kind of strikes, climate change action. So in that such kind of program, children, they have been taking part. They have been showing their anger towards not preserving environment. Okay, towards not preserving environment, they have shown their enthusiasm. They have also worked on that. They have been agents of climate, agents of change in the climate debate. See, the children have taken part in debate using their channels of influence schools, social media, and street protest. So such kind of programs. What kind of programs the children have been taken part? Yes, school programs like social media, street protest. You might also have taken part in such programs, haven't you? Related to climate change and climate? Obviously, right? You have been taking part in such programs. That's why the person is disappointed over here, not including children in that youth advisory group, not expanded to the children agents in the climate change, though they have been taking part in different school programs and different programs being activated through social media and street protest. Okay, let's continue. To catalyze. Okay, what is catalyze? To begin. To catalyze global activism on the climate crisis. Crisis means a time of intense difficulty or danger. To catalyze global activism on the climate crisis, we have seen children from global north to global south engaging with political and corporate leaders in their home countries and also within the international system. Most recently at the UN Human Rights Council, claiming their right to a safe, clean, healthy, and sustainable environment as critical foundation to realizing their well-being and rights. So according to the writer, children, they have been part of it. They have been part of it. They have seen children taking part in different programs from north to south. They have been engaging in such program. You can see here in the this small video as well. Children they have been taking part in the protest, okay, with play cards. They have been talking about environmental crisis, and then they have been very careful about how environment can be preserved for the future. So they have been working with political leaders, corporate leaders, concerned people, authoritative people, and even they have recently worked for UN Human Rights Council to for the healthy, to make sustainable environment, for the sustainable environment, for the well-being of environment and the children both. So who are going to face such environment in the future? Of course, children. Present generation has to think about the preserving environment for the future, right? So children, they have been working, and it's their right, and they have been working, so they should be included in that advisory group. The person is disappointed. So as a whole, if we talk about this paragraph, the person is disappointed, the one who is writing. Finding not expanded children agents in the climate, like debate, school, social media, and such programs, they have been taking part, but they have not been selected for the that particular advisory group. Okay, it was after all a child, Greta. Okay, do you recognize who is this person speaking? Do you recognize her? Who is she? She's just like you, okay, just like you, the youth, children, okay. She's a young girl, Greta Thunberg, but she has been very active. She is very active to talk about environment, climate change, and such topic. She is aware about it, and she has she laid a solo movement towards preserving climate environment. She talked about climate change as a global crisis. Okay, we will come to know about it while going through this paragraph. It was after all a child. Okay, this is example that shows children are also active in to talk about environment globally. So this is about Greta Thunberg, who sparked. Okay, sparked mean provide a stimulus for an event or process. So she provided a stimulus to others. She started, let's say, somehow started the movement. This global movement through an inspiring solo protest in 2018. So in 2018, she started the movement solo, alone. By 2019, she was able to rightly assert. By 2018, she started in 2018, and by 2019, she could firmly say, rightly assured me, she could firmly say that we proved that it does not matter what you do, and that no one is too small to make a difference. No one is too small to make difference. Even children can also make a difference. No one is small. In 2020, children are saying the same thing. Okay, this is an example of whom? Greta. Now, talking about another example like Fabrizio, a 16-year-old boy. Okay, this is about a boy, 16-year-old boy from Peru, who told us on a recent child-led online conservation, and he led a child-led online conservation of environment. This is another person. These are the examples of the children are being shown to show that yes, children are also the important agents that should be included in the planning and decision making level. So Greta global movement, she led a global movement and inspired all children, inspired people throughout the world. And then another person is Fabrizio, who also told about child-led conservation. Children also can play a great role to conserve environment. The future of children is at stake. What is at stake? Okay, here it is, at risk. Now, why children of the future of the children is at risk? Because of the degradation in environment. If environment is degraded, if environment is not conserved, then obviously children are at risk, isn't it? So they are at stake now. Tomorrow will be too late. So conservation should start from right now, today, okay? From tomorrow will be late. Children like Fabrizio are vocal in their anxiety that our dash to economic recovery will scupper climate change at net zero commitments. Okay, pay attention in this line. So it's about Fabrizio who spoke, expressed his anxiety, his worriedness. He expressed his worriedness. If dash is generally it is in hurry, right? Great hurry. So if we are just hurry in economic recovery, if we just talk about economic recovery, then what happens? Climate change we cannot prevent environment being degraded. When we focus on economic recovery, they are related with industry and big companies, factories, right? So if that is more promoted, then that might affect environment. There is a net zero commitments, and this net zero commitments mean lowering carbon emission, target of achieving zero carbon emission. If we want to lower carbon emission, then what should be done? Focusing on economic recovery will not work. Okay, I hope I justified it. They continue to pressure on us all for urgency and fight for the green recovery. Okay, recovery means to recover, to come to the normal state. So if we can, it's very urgent to work on, put pressure on green recovery. We have to recover our earth. We have to bring our planet to in the real condition, in the natural condition, green condition. Okay, let's move on. before that, let's summarize it. Children are at the risk, and Fabrizio, he is talking about it. If economic improvement is aware, then maybe this net zero program may be in shadow, right? So we should fight for a green recovery. Once again, okay, so this is the person has come to the end, to the later. Once again, Secretary General, we congratulate you on the establishment of the Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change. Once again, he is being congratulated for forming the group. We ask, however, that it be inclusive of children and adolescents younger than 18, respecting their right to be heard, to contribute their expertise directly. Expertise is skilled. So once again, the person is being congratulated for forming the group, but still some a kind of dissatisfaction is there to not to include the children. They also have children and adults, and they also have right to express their views, right to be heard, and express their views and expertise themselves, skill themselves, improve themselves. So that right, they also have that right. So congratulations, once again, it is the congratulation is expressed, but to once again request is restated here. We also ask that as preparation for COP26 advance, you call for UK and Italy to give children a safe space to influence these upcoming preparatory events. We would of course be happy to support process and facilities meaningful engagement with children across the globe on both your group and COP26. So COP26 is another program. Let me tell you about COP26. It stands for Conference of Parties, and the summit was attended by the countries that signed the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This is one kind of conference. COP is a conference by the conference of different parties on climate change. So it was held in 1994, and 26th COP summit was hosted in partnership between UK and Italy. So once if the preparation, another next preparation for the COP26 next conference, it was the request for the next conference, children should be included for that, for preparatory events, preparation for the task. When the next program is being prepared, children should be included and children should be engaged in that program. Request of advanced preparation. When COP is being prepared, children should be included. Okay, so this is the last paragraph. If the last 2 years have taught us anything, is that children armed with information and a sense of purpose. If children have information and sense of purpose, they have unique role to play, participating in decision making process and in combating crisis with constructive solutions. Constructive means having intended to useful, beneficial purpose, some beneficial solution is given. Let us make sure that we apply this lesson to planning process related to climate action. Sincerely yours, Save the Children Child Right Connect. So this is written by Save the Children. Okay, Save the Children. That's why the children were being focused. So children with information, they have unique role. This is being the writer is reminding Antonio about how powerful children are when they have armed with information, and requests to include them in the decision process. And then closing, sincerely yours is closing, and this is Save the Children is the the institution who wrote this letter to Antonio Guterres. Okay, so we have come to the end of this letter. Now we have some comprehensive exercises. Okay, let's talk about these exercises. Our first exercise A is fill in the blanks with correct words given below. Okay, we have some words here like tackle, corporate, outrace, catalyze, at stake, net zero, expertise. We are to fill these words in these blanks. Let's fill it up. First, the headquarters of company is in Dubai. Which word fits over here? Corporate. Okay, corporate is the appropriate word over here. Next, according to Greta, the leaders are failing to, there are the key issues. So key issues, what do we do with key issues? Tackle. Very good. Moving to next, some viruses. Some viruses, the step in the production of other viruses. Catalyze. Okay, yes, this is the word. Then, next, his in business helped him greatly to run expertise company. Okay, what word suits over here? Expertise. Good. Okay, let's move on next. Nepal government plans to reduce carbon dioxide emission to which level? Yes, net zero. He does not have good knowledge of business, so he has put his investment at stake. Okay, at risk. Finally, his controversial remarks cause public outrage. Only one word is late. Okay, let me clap for those who have guessed the answer correctly. Let's move to activity B. Okay, activity B is stating true or false. Let's quickly read the statements and find out the statements are either true, false, or maybe not given as well. If the information is not given, then let's write not given. A. Save the Children congratulates Antonio Guterres on his recent appointment as the General Secretary of UN. Okay, it's true that he is being congratulated, but it's not about appointment, a kind of source of some sort. It is not so clear. That's why we can write not given, right? Okay. Now, okay, let's move further. The Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change was announced on the request of the children between 18 to 21 years of age. So was that true? True or false? Which group was announced as advisory group? 18 to 28, right? So that means this statement is false. Okay. Next. The dissatisfaction is that the representation of children is not inclusive. Yes. So what dissatisfaction is being expressed throughout the letter? Not including the children. That means this statement is true. Next statement. Let's move to next statement. Greta Thunberg protested for the right to safe, clean, healthy and sustainable environment. Yes, she worked for such thing. That is true. Next, the children demand their physical safety in UK and Italy. So what do you think? It's true or false? It is true, right? So they want their security in their environmental security as well as their security in the UK and Italy. So true. Next, the children think that they can participate in decision making to fight against the climate crisis. What do children think? Can they do or not? Yes, they can. So this is also true. Okay, we have come to the end of this activity as well. Now we move to another activity, that is activity C. Answer the following questions. Okay, we have 6 questions to answer. Let's deal one by one. The first question is, what is our first question? Where is the UN Secretary General office? The office of UN Secretary General. So where do we find that? Quickly tell me. Yes, at the starting of the letter. Let's look at particular 42nd Street. Yes, the answer is 42nd Street. Well done. Let's move to the second question. What is our second question? What is the purpose of this letter? What's the purpose of this letter? That is also in the beginning of the letter, right? This one is the purpose, right? Okay, let me locate. Inclusion of children in the youth advisory group. So answer is to include the children in the youth advisory group on climate change. Next question. Why was the youth advisory group announced? Why it was announced? Purpose. Okay, where do we find that? Come on, tell me quickly. Yes, it is in the first paragraph of the body. So let me locate the line. Okay, somewhere here. Okay, somewhere here. Will advise you on regularly on accelerating global action related to environment. Advise, main function is what? Advise. So we can write to advise. To advise you here is UN Secretary General Antonio, right? On global warming and worsening climate crisis, about that. Let's go to next question. Next question is, what roles have children played in the time of climate crisis? Okay, what were the roles? You will find this answer of this question somewhere over here. Okay, yes. They have been agents of climate change, right? And they have been very active in school programs, social media, protest, and they have children from all from different parts of the globally they are involved, right? So what we can say is their role is leading debate programs on climate change, street protests, and engage with leaders about economic recovery. So these are their roles. Next question. Describe Greta Thunberg and Fabrizio's contribution. Okay, so you will find this somewhere here, right? Greta, where there is talk about Greta, and then Fabrizio. So what's their contribution? So obviously in the first line, it started with first line, continued, right? Continued. Then about Fabrizio, also it's over here, Fabrizio, 16-year-old boy, about him also it is written. So when we read these lines, we find their contribution. What did they do? And their contribution is Greta. Okay, if we talk about Greta, she did solo protest for regarding global movement, and then she proved that no one is small to make a difference. And Fabrizio from Peru was worried about only focusing on economic recovery and not focusing on net zero program, right? So these were their contribution. And now we have one more question. Okay, this is the final question. What is the final demand of the children? And this is also final demand. What was the final demand? Their final demand is, what is it? Okay, let us make sure that we apply this lesson to planning process related to climate action. Actually, they wanted to be included in the planning and decision making level. They wanted to be included in that level. All right, this exercise is over. One more is there still. D number. As a student, what role can you play to control climate change and its effect? Share your ideas in the class. Okay, as a student, what do you do? What can you do to conserve environment? We can do many things, right? Just like in the later discussion, we can take part in debate program, protest, and all these things. Except that, okay, let's talk point wise. We can, as a children, you can do plantation programs, right? Plantation, and encourage other people to plant. And then you can even spread awareness through rallies, pamphlets, and protest. You can take part in such debate and speech programs, and you can take part in radio and television programs. Social media, through social media you can aware people about environment and environmental issues. 3R, focus on 3R: reduce, recycle, and reproduce. Use a vehicle with less carbon production produced. And turn off light, save energy, focus on save energy. Low cost, no cost materials you can use. Low cost materials can be used. Local food and local clothes can be given emphasis. So these kind of programs you can do. Please mention more if you know. I know that you can mention more than this. So with this, we have come to the end of today's class. I would like to say that's all for today. Thank you. Namaste.